Okay, hello. Thank you for joining me for my Build Your Best Workout webinar experience here. I am Cassandra Nicole with Cassandra Strong Personal Training, and I am the owner of Cassandra Nicole LLC. So I just want to jump right into this here with a few little questions slash scenarios for you. All right, so have you ever walked into the gym not knowing what to do and you just kind of like wander around for a little while and then you just end up like being like, okay, well, I'll just go on the elliptical or the treadmill until I figure out what to do. And then you've just like spent a whole hour on the treadmill. Or the elliptical, and you're like, okay, well, that was fine for my workout. And also, just translating this into a home scenario, since I know a lot of us are working out at home now, do you ever go to work out at home, not have a plan, and then just find everything else to do aside from workout? I know I do that when I don't have my plan ready to go. I'll be like, oh, let me go clean the dishes, or let me go tidy this up, and just anything to not work out. Or, second scenario, do you ever get started? Um, Go to the gym, you get started, you're kind of like moving, you're doing stuff, but then you get to the end, of an hour or however long, and by the time you're done, you're like, did I even do anything to like get me towards my specific goals? Obviously any movement is great, but for your specific goals is what we're talking about here. If you ever get to the end and you're like, did I do anything that would help me get there? I have been in both situations, and that is part of the reason, or a huge reason, why I wanted to put together this presentation for you to help eliminate some of those moments. So what we are going to cover today can really be just broken up into two big bulk sections right here. Number one, the biggest one really is your framework. I am going to be asking you my 4 key questions to assess your specific needs. And that is just how you're going to get started with knowing what you should be doing for your workouts, and how to progress them forward. Okay, and then we'll be moving into creating a workout, and then you will move on to be able to create a program that will help progress you to those goals. And that's where we'll get into your exercise selection and all of this and all of that. At the end of all of this, I'll be letting you know just all of the ways that you can continue to reach out to me for more tips and tricks. And just if you want to chat and say hi, I will always be available there for your use in the future. And I would also, at the end of all of this, I will be sending you my free workout building template. So all exciting things. Let's move it forward. Okay, so a little more about who I am and my experience here. I am, again, Cassandra Nicole. I am building Cassandra Strong Personal Training. And I have my personal training certification through NSCA. So that's the National Strength and Conditioning Association. I have been working in fitness since 2015, and the bulk of that was in New York City until I just recently moved to Austin, Texas, already actually almost 8 months ago. So relatively recent, but already time is flying. I was a dancer for over 20 years. So I was a competitive dancer all throughout my childhood and teen years. And then I did dance professionally in a ballet company for 3 years after high school. So I have always been in the movement field. I've always been active. And what my journey has taught me is that it is really great to have fitness goals, but they need to have direction and sustainability. Sustainability being a really huge one. And also, just throughout all of this, I have realized that it is absolutely possible to be healthy and really embrace your body at every size, no matter what. So here we go. Okay, my 4 key questions to assess your specific needs. I'm going to move through this pretty quickly because we will be breaking down and talking about each of these as we move forward. But what is your specific goal? Is that build strength? Is it performative? Is it fat loss? Is it becoming more consistent? What are your restrictions or limitations? Restriction sounds so set in stone, but it sometimes is that being physically or environmentally or both. What is your level of fitness? So with that, how long has it been since you have been in a consistent routine? How long since you haven't, if you're not currently in one? And how many days a week do you plan on working out? Pretty straightforward. Okay, so these first two will move pretty quickly. They are relatively straightforward. What is your goal? And so, okay, as you're choosing a goal, let this be as specific as you would like. As I mentioned, is it strength related? And pertaining to that strength, is it performative? When I say performative, I mean, do you want to be able to do a pull up? Do you want to be able to do X amount of push ups? Things like that. Another more specific option that I hear a lot is fat loss. So, do you have a set amount, percentage of fat loss? Not pounds lost, but fat percentage in your body. And then also great goals, but maybe not as specific, just getting into a consistent routine and being able to stay in that consistent routine to just be good to your body. Do you want to sleep better? Do you want to have more energy? Do you want to have less aches and pains? Things like that are also all amazing goals. And that, of course, is not an exhaustive list. So if you have any more, I would love to hear them. And then that moves me on to what is your timeline for achieving your goal? And the biggest thing that I want to say about timeline is be realistic with it, okay? Anything that is going to happen too fast is going to be unsustainable and will, in the end, make it longer for you to reach your goal in the long run because you will continuously be starting over. In my experience, anything less than a 3-month stint is probably not going to stick. So you want to be looking for something at least 12 weeks to get yourself going and then continue on with afterwards. So that is our goal for your goals and timelines. As far as restrictions, or I think I like the word limitations better. I might change this for the future. But yeah, do you have any injuries, past or present? So obviously I think everyone thinks of what currently their body is dealing with, any like real injuries, but anything you've had in the past can affect you, so any past or present injuries. What type of equipment do you have accessible? You can get a great workout program with just body weight and stuff that you find around the house, or of course, do you have bands? Do you have access to a gym? Are you working out at home or are you at a gym? Things like that. And then what is your space like? If you are working out at home, are you in an apartment? Are you in a home? Are you in a garage? Just what is your space? So moving on from there, here we go. What is your level of fitness? All right. So as far as this, out of these three, how are you feeling? If you are feeling consistent, meaning you've been in a pretty decent routine. How long have you been in your routine for? What are you doing for your routine? And how many days a week are you consistently working out? Deconditioned. Okay, so this one just, how long has it been since you have been consistent? So your muscles are not conditioned right now. They're not strengthened. You might be feeling a little weak, and that's okay. But how long has it been since you've last been consistent, if ever? And there's no wrong answer here. Or, and this is one I think a lot of people don't think of when they think of their level of fitness, are you in workout burnout? Okay, so honestly here, this one, a lot of people probably are in without even realizing it because we live in a society where it is go, 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 never stop, no days off. And honestly, you reach workout burnout after you've done too much for too long, and it's probably shorter than you think. So that number that I gave you earlier, 3 months, if you've been working out consistently without any breaks for longer than 3 months, you probably need to take a little time off. And I will touch on how to do that as we move forward here. But that brings me to our training phases. Okay, So this is your gold page right here. Okay, all of this information. By the way, most of this page right here is based off of a model through a certification that I have also studied aside from NSCA called NASM. So I have based my findings here based off of their model and also my own practices, experiences, and observations. Okay, so there are a lot of ways to break down these strength or these training phases, but this is what I like to use myself and also implement with my one-on-one clients as well. So let's start right here at endurance. So this is probably where like most of us are, or most people are, and again, just may not even realize it. So in your endurance training phase, you're going to be building your foundations, and you start to challenge your stabilizers a bit. So we're starting to implement some balance work in this phase as well. Your rep range is going to be pretty high. Okay, so it's 12 to 20 plus reps. You're going to do 2 to 3 sets of your exercises, and your rest time is you want it to be short. Okay, so 15 to 60 seconds. The idea here being, it's your endurance phase. So you think of endurance like cardio. We're not talking about that right now. We're thinking of endurance strength-wise and the amount of time that we're taxing your muscles. So if you think you're doing 20 reps of one exercise, that is kind of going to take you a long time to get through. So your rest time is also just, it's going to be shorter than the amount of work that you're doing. Okay, so we're thinking long exercise time, short recovery time. We're building that foundation. We're building some strength for your muscles to have a groundwork for your next training phases. All right, so next up, we have our strength training phase. And honestly, based off of a lot of conversations that I've had with clients and a lot of what you see in, the social world, this is actually where a lot of people want to be, because this is where your metabolism is going to get revved up. Okay, so this is where you build muscle, and don't shy away from that because it does not mean bulky. It just means that you're creating more lean muscle mass. Okay, so we develop your muscles, that increases your metabolism. Your metabolism works hard for you to take away fat content, and that is where you get that fat loss if that is your goal. Okay, this also obviously is where you can move on to increase your strength. So this one, we've kind of got 2 little breakdowns here. Your rep range can be 6 to 12. That's where we're really going to start to kind of build that muscle. If you do move on to your next phase here, you'd be going into maximal strength. And that's where you gain those things, like I was saying, like a pull-up, or, you're able to squat X amount of pounds that you never have before. That's where you're going to be doing that strength growth. You'll do more sets of this. Okay, so you're doing less reps, but you're doing more sets typically, with more rest and recovery in between. All right, so say you do 12 reps of something, you take 45 seconds to rest, which is going to be, like the more endurance side of this phase. Think if you do 6 reps of something, you're going to go to the higher side of that spectrum. So if you're going 6 reps of something, your weight is going to go up, because here's a little nugget for you. With all of these phases, you want your weight to be manageable with good form throughout the entire set. And keeping that form, you want the last 2 reps to be really difficult. Okay, so you don't want to get to the end of your set and be like, oh, I could have gone 5 more. That means you need to up your weight. And if that is not an option, if you're working out at home, then it just means you need to switch to doing more volume, but still kind of giving yourself the allotted time of rest. That's where things can get a little tricky, and it's really nice to have some help with those things. But this is just very standard. All right, moving on to power. Power is one that you don't see as much in the general public. It is more athleticism. If you're a CrossFitter, you're doing a lot of power lifting. But then also, if you're an athlete, that is where that is going to be probably a lot of your training as well. What this is great for, it is good to know how to move fast with good form. Okay, think like if you fall down, the stairs, you're not going to do it slowly. Okay, so you want to be able to train your body to be able to catch you quickly. That's why, you know, sprinkling in some of the power moves is really great to do as well. Rep range is going to be pretty medium here, 6 to 10. Because your weight is still going to be pretty heavy. All right, so it's adding speed to your strength moves is what we're doing. You're going to go 3 to 5 sets, and your rest time is 1 to 4 minutes. All right, so what I do want to touch on is that most people never leave the endurance phase. And the problem with that is that if you're in one phase for too long, you're eventually going to reach a plateau, and or you will burn out. Okay, then you quit, then you start over, and then it's just a whole cycle of this. So like I mentioned, a lot of people are in the endurance phase like for their entire workout life. If you're doing a lot of classes or circuit training, that is where this whole rep scheme is going to kind of stem off of. What you need to do, this is like the secret sauce. You need to recycle through your phases like 4 to 6 weeks in each phase. Okay. And I promise I haven't forgotten about the deload, because of course I would not forget about the deload, but still kind of getting into your training phases here of the active work. So you want to be in each phase for 4 to 6 weeks. And the reason being, different muscle fibers are fired up in each different phase. All right. So if you're like, why would you build up to strength from endurance and then go back down? And it's not going back down, you're not like going backwards. What you're doing is you don't want to spend too much time in endurance, and you don't want to spend too much time in strength either, because when you are in the strength phase, there's an entire half of your muscle fiber that is not firing. Isn't that crazy? So it's good to continuously go through these phases and get all of the benefits of all of your muscles working for you. Alrighty, so moving on to your deload. This is honestly where listening to your body becomes really key, because if you have noticed that you are working out and you've become all of a sudden really tired and unmotivated to do your workouts, you're like, I like going to the gym sounds like the worst thing, or like stepping on my mat at home sounds like the worst thing, or your workouts are harder than usual, but you haven't really increased your volume or load or time or anything like that. That's honestly, those are all huge signs that you're hitting burnout. So this is where a deload week is really, really important. Also, a deload will help you break through a plateau. What? You tell me to do less and I'm going to break through my plateau? Okay. But honestly, the reason being that it finally gives your muscles a chance to recover and start working better for you, working harder for you, and just kind of working the way that they're supposed to. So there are several options here. It is imperative at least every 12 to 16 weeks, you need to be taking a deload week. All right. And so this brings me back to when you recycle through your phases. So say you do let's say 4 weeks, because it's a little bit more tricky. So let's say you're in 4 weeks of endurance and 4 weeks of power, or 4 weeks of strength. And then, by the way, you can kind of sprinkle power into these into strength is what I would say. I don't typically, because I don't train a lot of athletes, I don't typically have people just work out in power for an entire phase. So it's really endurance and strength that you want to be kind of moving between. So let's say you do 4 weeks in endurance and then 4 weeks in strength. So you're at 8 weeks there, but you're like, I don't feel like I need a deload just yet. So sorry, let's change this. Let's say 5 weeks. So you've got 5 and 5. So you're at 10 weeks there. And you're like, I don't need a deload yet at 10 weeks. I can go 2 more weeks. So it's Then we can go back to endurance for the 2 weeks. Okay. And then in the middle of that phase, you take a deload week and then you come back and you finish your other, phase of training there. I hope that is helpful and not too confusing. I hope I didn't just confuse the heck out of you. But you can kind of break up your phases and still have your deloads, is what I'm trying to say. So you need to be having one at least every 12 to 16 weeks. Most people actually need every 6 to 8 weeks. So if you don't even reach the 12, you are not alone, and that is not by any means wrong. This is, again, like I said, just very much listening to your body. If you reach week 7 and you're like, wow, I'm really noticing like all of those burnout cues where I'm feeling so unmotivated, I'm so tired all the time, every lift feels so hard, you should take your deload week at 7 then. You take your 7th week off, or much lighter. I will talk about other ways to deload. And then you get right back at it. So it's something that can kind of be shifting around as well as you listen to your body. Alrighty, so, and also I just put this in here just because the extreme stress. So this, anyone that is going to be taking a deload every 3 weeks is if you are going maximal effort, meaning like you're going for a 1 rep max. You're lifting really, really, really heavy for 3 weeks, and then you absolutely need to take a week off. This honestly is where a lot of people, if you're doing any sort of 21-day type challenge, you probably have noticed that once you reach the end of it, you feel like you absolutely need to take a week off. But that often then turns into kind of the opposite. But this, just to say, most of us don't need this extreme stress for 3 weeks and then 1 week off. That's more for like power lifters. All right, so a deload week does not mean you have to just completely be inactive for a whole week. In fact, it'll probably be really hard for you to do that. And also your body may not really like it because it doesn't want to go from doing like everything to nothing. So things like mobility exercises, yoga, like the restorative yoga, not like a power yoga, okay? Swimming, hiking, even low impact body weight exercises, all of those can be great ways to deload. And again, just the importance of taking your deload week is that it is a chance for your body to recover from overtraining. If your body is in constant repair and stress mode, which is what you are doing to your body when you work out, you are adding stress to it. So if it's in that constant state, it doesn't ever have the chance to do the work that you want. It doesn't give your systems and your hormones to all work the way that they properly should. And you potentially could reach what is called CNS fatigue. So it's central nervous system, referring to your central nervous system, which is your brain and your spinal cord, which signals your muscles to work. Okay. So if your signals from your brain and spinal cord are not going to your body correctly, that could really lead you to injury. And nobody wants that because then that's time away, more time, and that breaks your consistency. I will say that if you are working one-on-one with a coach, and they are a good coach, you may not notice when they have you in a deload. But it is always good to kind of like ask about and make sure it is happening if you are working with someone. Alrighty, so that brings me to how many days a week do you plan to work out? And this again here, I ask you to be realistic. So if you are not working out consistently right now, I would not say you want to work out 3 or 4 days a week. Start with one. Start with one workout a week and build from there. I always like to say if you go 1 workout a week, twice in a row, so you do 2 weeks, maybe try adding a second one that 3rd week, and then do 2 workouts for the next 2 weeks. And then you add one from there until you get to the set that you would like to be. And again, your body will tell you when too much is too much. If you start feeling those burnout symptoms, you're overly tired. Another one, you're hungry all the time, but again, you just don't feel like you're getting the energy that you need. That's a huge one as well. And what this will do, once you figure out how many days a week you can work out, realistically, this will tell you how you will work out, okay, all right? Whether you're going to be doing full body or split workouts. And by the way, how often you're working out can change throughout your program. And in fact, if you're starting from zero, it probably will. You will, probably build up to, what your desired amount of days are. So just because you want, 3 days a week does not mean you should start there, but you build on it. Okay, so here we are. If you are working out 1 to 3 days a week, you're going to want to do full body. Okay, that gives your body enough time to recover in between your workouts. You'll want to space them out. And if that's not possible, okay, if you have to do 3 days in a row, then you will want to do full body workouts that kind of focus on different parts of your body, like more strongly. So don't do a very heavy legs day in your full body. So don't do like half of your workout is legs and then half is upper body. Maybe you do just like one exercise that's leg and then the rest upper body one day and then vice versa the other day. And then, kind of, you'll be able to kind of mix it in, and I'll be able to show you how to do that later. And you'll be able to do that with my little template that I'll give you at the end of all of this. And then, so if you're working out 4 to 6 days a week, that's when we're going to get into your splits. And there are different ways that you can do this. Okay. So, very typical ones are you can do an upper and lower body split. So 2 or 3 days a week, you would be doing upper body workouts only. And the other days you would do lower body workouts only. And this is a very common one. Like if you're doing 4 days a week, I do like to recommend the upper lower split because you can do 2 and 2. If you're working out like 5 or 6 days a week, this is typically what I would suggest is working out your muscle groups by muscle group. So maybe one day you do legs, and then the other day you do upper body push. So you're like chest and shoulders and triceps, and that's your focus. And then like the next day you're going to do upper body pull. So you've got, like your pull-ups or your lat pull downs and, rows and bicep curls, things like that. And you can kind of like cycle through. Another one that I like to throw in here if you're working out, 5 or 6 days a week is it's good to throw in a cardio day. Cardio is not targeted for fat loss, but it's, to help your cardiovascular system get stronger, which is very important as well. And I should note also, with any of this, you may notice, a fat loss happen immediately. Anything that you're implementing that is new, you will notice huge changes right away as your body gets used to it. But then after a while, it will just kind of like, as far as like the cardio, it'll level out, whereas your body will have reached, it's used to it in a sense, but then will help you with your benefits of the cardiovascular system, like we said. So all of that to say, lift some weights also with your cardio, but cardio is also important. Okay, so, and also you may have noticed that I did not put 4 to 7 days a week because no one should be working out 7 days a week, okay? You need to give your body some time to rest. All right, how do you progress? So let's talk about rate of progression. Now, will it happen in each workout? Probably not. If you are progressing in each workout, you will probably lead to burnout. That is not super sustainable. So I would not suggest trying to progress in each workout. In each week, you most definitely will probably progress in the beginning of your workout, in the beginning of your program, especially if you're starting from that point of where you're not working out right now. So you probably will progress within each week a lot at the beginning, but as you start to get into things more regularly, that will happen a little bit less and less. And you may add progressions within your weeks, like when you're moving on to something new and your body is reaching a new level of growth. But more realistically is each month. Okay, so all of these, and I'll talk about obviously ways that we can progress, but progressing within each month is going to be your most realistic way to do this. So it will feel like small progressions, but again, it will all add up in the long run, because think like if you add 5 pounds to an exercise every day for even a week, that's 35 pounds you've added to your exercise. That's just like, you can't do that, you know? And even if you do that every week, something like your chest press, 35 pounds is a lot to add within, let's say, so each week, by the end of 1 month, you've added 20 pounds to your chest press. That's a huge progression. So within each month, you could think like maybe you're adding 10 pounds to an exercise like your chest press. So like when you think about it, you may feel like they're not huge changes, but in the long run, they will add up to be huge strength gains, huge strength and muscle gains, and body confidence gains. That's what we're looking for, right? All right, so options for your progression, ways that you can do that. You can do this by increasing your frequency. So, you're adding more days a week. That is a progression. You can increase your volume. So increasing your weight, which is what I was just talking about. You can also increase like your time if you're doing a timed exercise, so like think like a wall sit. If you go from 30 seconds to 45 seconds, that's a volume increase. Or for your plank, if you go from 45 seconds to 1 minute holding your plank, that is a progression. So things like that are great ways to play with how to increase your volume. And especially if you don't have a lot of weight available to you, like if you're working out at home, increasing the amount of time is a great option. And that does bring me to tempo. So playing around with tempo is a great way also to add a progression if you don't have a lot of weight available. So think like you're going to either slow down your exercise, or maybe you add a pause within the exercise at the bottom or at halfway, or you add a pulse. All of those are great ways to add a progression. It's just increasing the amount of time your muscles are under tension. It will make them work all that much harder. Alrighty, so this leads me to DOMS. Maybe a term that you've heard of before, maybe not, but I do feel like it is becoming a more streamlined term. It is delayed onset muscle soreness. All right, so I just want to touch on the fact that you should not be sore after every workout. And what I mean by sore is like it affects your daily living. We've all had those workouts where it's like the next day it's really hard to sit on the toilet or like walk up and down the stairs. That's what I mean by like affecting your daily living. Okay, so if like the next day after a workout you're like, oh yeah, I kind of noticed that. That's not what I'm talking about necessarily. It's those like extra sore because your body has to work really hard to repair that. And what I also want to say, touching on this, is you may experience that at the very beginning of your workout program, or when you do make a significant change, like if you move into a different phase of training and then you have like one of those workouts where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't sit. That's okay. I'm not saying it's ever bad either. It's just not helpful or sustainable to be sore all the time, not like that. So if you do have that level of soreness for more than 3 days, that just means that you did it a little bit too much. Okay. And next time you need to scale back a little bit. Unfortunately, that soreness can last about 3 days, and then it's totally fine. Again, just as long as it's not happening all the time. Sometimes also you will finish a workout and not be sore the next day, and you're like, yeah, I'm in the clear. But then the second day after your workout is when your body starts to really feel it. That's when your muscles are finally working on the little micro tears in the muscle, and that's where you get the delayed onset. So have fun with those. Alrighty, so here we go. Here is your exercise selection cheat sheet. So as you see, I've done 10 exercises of each kind of like muscle group here. Again, this is absolutely not every exercise, but I just wanted to give you a good, decent amount here. So we've got lower body, and I broke this up into, 2 legs on the ground or on a surface, and then you've got single leg exercises as well, both of which are very important to have in your program. Single leg and single arm as well. Any of these can be made into a single arm exercise as well. The reason single leg or arm work is so important is because that way your stronger side can't take over when you're doing the exercise. All right, it's making your body, your side work all on its own, and it kind of makes your body realize where your imbalances are, and where you kind of need to work on building strength, which side. Everyone has one side that's stronger than the other, as well, as totally normal. So again, lower body and single leg we've got here. I've broken upper body into push and pull exercises right here. So push, again, is going to focus on your muscles like on the front side of your body mostly. Your triceps are also included in there. So you've got things for your chest, things for your shoulders, and also for your triceps. Pull is going to be the backside of your body and your biceps. Think anything you're pulling. So you've got all of these exercises. And again, all of these can be turned into single arm exercises as well. That moves me on to our core ideas right here. And notice that none of the ones that I have listed are a traditional crunch. All right, so we do have the reverse crunches in the bicycle here, but I wanted to give you a lot of ideas that are not just your standard crunch, okay? That actually puts a lot of stress on your spine, which is totally not necessary. And these are honestly better for your body as a whole anyway, because they do not put that stress on your spine, and incredibly effective for your core. With all of these exercises, I do want to say that all of your workouts should have well-rounded exercises in them. Meaning, if you want six-pack abs, okay, I'm just pulling that one because it's a very popular one. It doesn't necessarily mean you should be doing only core workouts in your exercises. In fact, that is a very surefire way to make you really frustrated, because it's going to take you a very, very, very long time to get that six-pack only doing core exercises. That being said, that is because these exercises, they recruit far less muscles than all of these other ones. These bigger movements are going to recruit more muscles, which means your body works harder, has to continue working much longer after your workout to repair those muscles, and is overall just going to, if fat loss is your goal, that is doing these bigger movements is actually going to help you get there in a more quicker and efficient way. So also, fat loss is going to happen throughout your body at the rate and pace that it wants to, no matter what. So a lot of times it happens from head to toe. So you'll notice your face start to lose its fat content first, and then we'll move down from there. So again, just spot training, it doesn't work. Just don't make yourself do 1,000 crunches hoping to get six-pack abs. Do some really, really heavy squats, because your entire system is going to work and rev up your metabolism. Again, if that is your goal. I only choose that one because I hear it all the time. Alrighty, so here we are. We've reached building your workouts. Okay, so I did these times based off of a 1-hour workout. I did not touch on the warm up and the cool down yet, but they are very, very important. Okay, so your warm up should last 5 to 15 minutes. I honestly wanted to write 10 to 15 minutes, but if you are very short on time, 5 will do. What you want to do within your warm up is increase your heart rate and your body temperature. Okay, so we want to get things flowing, get things moving. We want to work on your mobility and dynamic stretching. Okay, during your warm up, as your body is starting to get more blood flowing throughout it, you don't want to move into the stretches where you're just holding a stretch, because that is a way to pull a muscle. Your muscles are tight. Like I said, the blood isn't really flowing through them just yet. So we want to be doing movements where you're moving, movements where you're moving. And also, to round out your warm up is when you want to do your activation work. So say, well, for this example, I did a full body. So for activation work, you would just kind of want to touch on a little bit of every muscle group that you're going to be working. Maybe you do some band work with around your legs. You do some like presses out to activate your glutes. If you have another band, you can do little pull aparts to warm up your back. If you don't have any bands or anything like that, no problem. You can always do glute bridges on the floor. You can do squats standing, just body weight. You can do some push-ups on the floor, lots of things, but you just want to touch on the muscles that you'll be working in your workout with a lighter resistance. Okay, so like body weight or more bands. Your main workout that I've given you an example for here. Okay, so here is something also. Most workouts only need like 5 to 8 exercises in them. What? I know you don't need to do like 15 exercises in one workout. So any well-programmed workout will only have a few exercises, and we're going to touch on everything here. So with this example that I've given you, we've got 2 lower body opportunities. So we've got a squat, both feet on the ground. Okay, and then your reverse lunge is your single leg work. So we've got lower body and single leg. Then we move on to your back with a lat pull down. We move on to your chest with an elevated push-up. And then we are going into kind of some accessory and like vanity muscles right here, where you've got your shoulder press. I've turned that one into a single arm so we can get some single arm work in there. And then also your bicep curls. Finishing it out with your core exercise at the very end here. Okay, and so I have done this in our endurance training phase. So all of your reps are pretty high. So we've got 3 rounds of 15 with only 30-second rests in between. So you would go 15 squats and you would rest for 30 seconds. Then you would go 15 squats again, rest for 30 seconds, 15 squats one more time, rest for 30 seconds. Then you are done with that exercise. I kind of like this because it's like you're checking everything off the list. All right, then you go to your reverse lunge. We've got 12 here. Okay, so you go 12 on one side, 12 on the other side. Then you only have 20 seconds of rest before you start back up with that first side again. All right, so again, the endurance training phase, you're moving pretty much the entire time. Lat pull downs, you've got 15 again, 30-second rest. Your push-ups, 12. You get a little bit longer of a rest here because push-ups are difficult. Now, if you do start, going through something like this and you're like those last few reps aren't feeling as hard, cut your rest time off a little bit. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily mean you'd have to go up to 15 reps. You could do 30-second rests instead, or you could go up to the 15 reps and still give yourself that longer rest. But I would do the prior, where I'd keep you at 12 and move to a 30-second rest personally. All right, so then moving on to your shoulder press. This here, we've only got 2 rounds because I've got you doing 15 on each side. And your shoulder is a pretty small muscle, and it's already worked, okay? So you've got a higher rep, only 2 rounds, but you only have 15 seconds after that second side, okay? So this, again, it moves pretty quick. We're kind of just burning things out now at the end. Your bicep curls, we've got 20 reps, 15-second rest again. And that moves quickly, yeah, you're going 20 reps, you get to 20, hang out, shake it out. By the time you're done kind of like shaking things out, you're right back at it. Okay, so that's where you're gonna get your good like burn at the end. And then of course you've got your core exercise. What you always want to do is start with your hardest exercises. Okay, so you start with your really, really big movements and then work your way down to those smaller muscle groups, those smaller movements and exercises, and then finishing with the core is always a good way is a great way to end it out, because your core is working throughout the entire workout. Okay, so your core works in all of these, and then this is your final burnout for your core at the very end. All right, and then I do have to touch on your cool down. It is incredibly important to not skip. I'm going to say that again. Don't skip your cool down. 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. This is where you're going to lower your heart rate. So if your heart rate is really high at the end, you don't want to just lay down on your back and start like stretching. You want to kind of like, take a little walk or something, or just kind of stand in place and like do some knee hugs. Just a few minutes, let your heart rate come down, and that's when you start your static stretching. Okay, that's where you can take where you like lay on your back and you hold your leg in the air and try to pull it to your face for as long as you can. Not as long as you can. About 30 seconds for each stretch is a great way to go. Okay, so that's your example workouts. And finally, how you can continue to reach out to me. I have my website and email listed, cassandrastrong.com. Info at cassandrastrong.com is my email. You can find me on Instagram. I post a lot of educational content there. And if you are on Facebook and you want to find me there as well, feel free. I am not posting on there as much, but I do intend on having, like my little Cassandra Strong community on there with a Facebook group. So I do want to say, thank you so much for joining. I am currently in open enrollment for my one-on-one coaching program. So if you would like to reach out to me about any of that, any of these options is a great way to go about that. Also, watch your emails for that workout building template and, other goodies that I'm going to send your way in the future as well. Like maybe I send you a warm up and some more workouts, just some things that I've got in the pipeline there. And yeah, that leads me to open it up to question and answer. So let me just get out of this. How do I do it?